We are live
Fired
on
up,
YouTube.
dig in, go,
Tweet it
fight,
out.
win.
Our YouTube is still linked to Hoopball tweets, by the way, so that's still going out from the big dog account, not the new one. Hoopball fantasy. I wonder if everybody has followed that. Still kind of filing their way in, but if anybody watches this thing after the fact, the first thing they hear is going to be me telling them to follow at Hoopball fantasy. People are doing it.
I spent an hour setting up auto tweets for that for like the rest of the future.
Do they all have that little Seuss creature in? Is that the Lorax? No, that wasn't.
That is the Lorax. I didn't.
Good for me.
Did you like it, or was that just like too weird?
I liked it. I like Seuss. I like the Lorax. We read that book to my kid when he goes to sleep sometimes. So I'm all.
I thought it was relevant. You have been warned. People,
you have been warned. I like it because it's environmentally friendly. The book itself, it's all about taking care of your environment. As a Berkeley grad,
I thought it was the opposite. I thought the Lorax was trying to destroy the Earth, and that's why I liked it.
How dare you speak this way to a Cal grad? Come on, man. It's
Go
Gaia.
Eat some gluten-free pizza, Dan, and shut up.
It's Gaia, bro. Gaia's your homie, man. Gaia, you gotta take care.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. You gotta take care of the Earth, man. I'm all for that. I'm all for that nonsense. I make fun of the way that it's presented, but I'm all for it. I miss Berkeley sometimes. It was such a weird experience to be still living in Berkeley the year after I graduated. I was working at an immunology lab. It was a different time for me. And I still lived like 5 blocks from campus, and it was just like to not actually be in school there, but to be in the city. It felt like this weird time warp, and it just felt wrong. You kind of have to be.
You gotta leave school, man. You can't be doing it at school.
No. Well, the science lab was on campus, but then, I mean, like, I'm not as baby-faced as I used to be, but still a little bit. Like when I was 22.
It just feel old. No, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, that was the real problem.
Now we could go back to school like Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, that's a great movie.
I can't remember any of it. I can remember the end where he's on the diving team and he dives from the top diving board to the next one. Clearly not a stunt double. Definitely Rodney Dangerfield. God, I miss the 80s.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Nobody got any respect. I should also preface today's show, and maybe I'll say this again once we get into the true recording session. Bruski is all doped up on antihistamines these days, so we're gonna get some good-ish from Brew on today's show.
I'm trying this concoction. My wife made this for me. It's a green tea with some lemon and honey, but with apple vinegar cider or apple vinegar. It tastes like garbage.
Yeah, probably tart. I'm thinking a little tart.
Yeah, it's supposed to help with the cough. So I've now gotten sick or something. I think it's allergies with the last one for like 3 straight weeks. It's stupid. I don't feel like bad or anything. I just now have to take the allergy meds, which longtime listeners and followers of the show know are as good as drugs for me. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like you could go to a party, somebody's probably doing this, somebody's probably doing that. And I'm like, where's the allergy meds, dude? Where's the allergy meds? I can't feel my face. I can't feel my face.
They're all Benadryl goofballs over there. Yeah, you don't mess around when you take the antihistamines. Brew goes straight to the hard stuff.
Remember when I was doing box score breakdown and I was sick for like a week on allergies? Those were like, if you dig those box score breakdowns up, I probably stopped talking about basketball for like 30 minutes at a time. Forgot where I was at.
Yeah. They were long. Those shows were long, man.
I really miss doing those.
You're meandering.
Hour 3, Thursday night, 2-game box score breakdown.
Yeah. Let's talk about Shaquille O'Neal's choice of tie. It was That was a
Remember
special
the time he rapped about Kobe's ass?
How could I forget? I got to log in as Hoopball Tweets and get out of TweetDeck. You know what? I found out that if I run TweetDeck at the same time I'm running a Google Hangout, it overwhelms my computer. That combination apparently is just the ultimate.
You know, Dan, your computer kind of reminds me of that Montgomery Burns scene in The Simpsons when they look at everything he's got wrong with him. He's got so many diseases at once that they're all trying to get in at the same time, and that's the one thing keeping him alive.
That was a great sequence. God, man, I can't even. That was like, was that 90s Simpsons still? That was still the 90s Simpsons, right?
I look at Simpsons as you got the Conan O'Brien era, and that was like seasons 1 through 3 or 4, I think.
I think he made
like this part of the golden years, though.
Yeah, you cut out for just a second during that one. You cut out for just a second.
Dan.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get the right windows open here, and I think I may just have to. Shut her down. If people don't see the first tweet announcing that we're live, that's just going to have to be how it is, because I want to make sure that this thing doesn't glitch out, and that's where we sit right now. So I have a million things on my list today, and I some of them will probably take longer than others. We also have a lot of questions preloaded into the chat room.
I got a lot of questions for you guys.
This one could push the boundaries of how long I'm willing to let a show go. So maybe with that we ought to get started.
You know, we have an hour-long meeting later today, Dan.
Yeah, Brew and I have a lot. We got a lot to talk about. But then I'm not going to talk to you for like 2.5 days.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
Need to take a break from Brew. In 3, 2, 1. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today Live Edition. It's Friday, which means we are YouTube bound. I'm Dan Besbris, and of course, El Arquitecto, doped up on histamines or antihistamines, possibly the eternal struggle between the two of them. How are your mast cells doing, Brew? I remember that from immunology class.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but you forgot I'm also on steroids. And so yeah, a combination of the steroids, the muscle relaxers, and the what's that last? Oh yeah, the allergy meds.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's you know what? I'm on the tail end. I'm not going to complain. It's a great Friday, Dan. I feel like I looked at all the standings for my teams last night, and I'm very happy with where they're at. I'm very excited right now for this next 55% of the season. So yeah, who cares about a little allergy induced?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, Steph Curry's back. Isn't that sort of what it all comes down to for a lot of our teams?
Steph, I got some Kawhi, Isaiah Thomas. I've got in a big money league. I just stashed him, and he comes out firing in game 1, and you're like, yeah, that's a top 25er right there. So yeah, no, we got a little bit of Zach LaVine, even though I'm not really thrilled that I waited this long for what I'm going to get out of it. But no, it's good to get healthy. It's good to have Nikola Mirotic on every team.
Yeah, I got him on every team. You guys know that about me. I don't.
It's good to have advised to add and hold Marquise Chris 3 weeks ago when all y'all were scared.
Yeah, for good reason though. He's a fatty. Not Julio Okafor fat, I guess. Apparently he's
you know what though? He's the kind of maybe Charles Barkley fat where he can still jump.
Yeah, that's the darndest thing, man. Dude must have calves like you wouldn't even believe to get it. Like Barkley's calves back in the day probably were just insane.
What's stupid about it is probably such a correctable thing. I mean, he probably has to eat Krispy Kremes every night, like nonstop. And
you don't?
if he has a drink, he's like, I'll take the 13% triple IPA, please.
give me the one. Give me the one with extra sugar
Can you
too.
put some sugar in that for me, please?
Can we do Smirnoff Ices only for the next week? Is that
a lot of players, because the metabolisms are so fast, they just wolf down Skittles all day long. Like they might have like 5 packs of Skittles.
Wasn't that the Lamar Odom thing? The Skittles?
Odom, and then Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch. I think he put it into fashion.
Go
Sour
Bears.
Patch Kids. People got their vices.
I love Marshawn Lynch. I love that dude so much. He's like everything that Berkeley wants in the world. Is just this total loony bin who's outsmarting everybody. I love it. Okay, so let me ask you.
Over on the float after drinking too much. Was it Aftershock?
You remember when he ghost rode the whip at the end of a Cal Bowl victory? Oh my God,
No.
that was the greatest thing on planet Earth. Everybody go Google that immediately. Marshawn Lynch ghost rides the whip. He takes a golf cart and does it after Cal wins a bowl game. Greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. You mentioned IT. I want to start there, actually, on the basketball stuff, because I see a lot of questions going around Twitter and the forums where people are getting offers for their IT now, and I feel like my word carries a certain amount of weight, but yours carries more. And the only thing I've ever told these people is, you held him this long. Don't sell him now. People are going to try to pry him off for you for some garbage because they didn't want to wait for 2.5 months. Now you got to ride him for a little bit. Let him hit that, that second round week. And if you want to sell him at that point, fine, do whatever you want, but don't sell him now. This is like, you got to wait till his value peaks. You waited this long. Don't sell him before he actually gets going.
Yeah, this is the other direction. You're trying to buy low here. I had an offer, I believe, from a viewer of the show, I might add, because it was the same person that offered me Lou Williams for Torian Prince, but I felt like they had forgotten about their offer, so I let them off the hook. And I mentioned that on this show. Like 30 minutes later, that offer got retracted. So I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here, but there was a message that went out. It's like, hey, Isaiah Thomas is on the block. I've got too many injured players. What will you offer? And I was willing to offer, anything in the top 40. Gary Harris was ultimately my offer. And it didn't pan out because the guy wanted assists in return. And I was kind of thinking, like, how am I going to get you Isaiah Thomas's assists in return without getting you a high-end point guard that I don't have on my roster right now? But yeah, no, top 40, I think that's an easy call right now. And I think it's doable. Like, say it was Gary Harris or somebody in that block of players. The person that has Isaiah Thomas might think, okay, I got back-to-backs to deal with, minute restrictions. What if this thing's not healthy? What about LeBron? All those things are going to come into play in their mind. I think you could pull it off. And at the same time, I'm not worried about any of that stuff.
Next thing I want to move to, and I'm going to I got a lot of things on my list. This is my fault. So I'm going to keep us shuttling along. Kyle Lowry, news came out today. He has a sore finger. I don't actually care about the news. I just wanted to ask if the next thing that happens to him is that he gets landscaping duty. Kyle Lowry's fingers hurt. Hey, Mr. Gilmore, good to see you. Okay, that's off the list. I just wanted to do that, and then we could do the next thing here. Milos Teodosic has plantar fasciitis. I've dropped him everywhere. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not good news there. And that team is in just such a crazy place. I'm trying to remember the third string point guard's name. Was it Jawoon Evans?
Yeah, I think it's actually just Jawan, but yeah, it's spelled Jawoon.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that guy. Somebody's got to carry the ball up the court. I mean, yeah, Blake's going to be a point guard de facto, but like somebody has to, with Lou Williams, carry the ball because Austin Rivers is going to be out a couple weeks. I think he's a flyer pickup at least in the 14-team league. I'm not going to – he's probably got a 20% chance of being decent, but, I mean, something's got to happen there. Yeah, no, I think re-injuring that foot could be, it could theoretically be the end of his season. We don't know yet, but yeah, he was not getting the 3 money counters that he needed in order to be a late round value. So he's an easy drop in my mind.
Yeah, I was never all that bullish on the Teodosic thing. I mean, I think you and I argued about it a couple weeks back. This was an easy one for me too, because I didn't really have him anyway. James Harden is out for a couple of weeks, probably more. He's being evaluated on the 15th was the last thing that I heard. And a grade 2 hamstring deal is not nothing, right? Like, hamstring tend to linger, and Houston's going to be okay without him. They've got Chris Paul, they've got Eric Gordon, they've got Clint Capella, and they have now Gerald freaking Green, who's hit, 15 threes in his last 2 ball games. Is this a guy that you can actually ride while Harden's out, or is this, could this flame out by tomorrow?
I mean, the thing we know is that the stat set's not great. So you're banking on big nights in order to get top 100 value. That's probably where you want to rate him as far as a pickup goes. That's kind of a safe ceiling to target. That might help you in league. That's actually quite good. Find him for the rest of the year is promising for, a little bit of staying power. I think that Harden probably gets back as soon as possible. He's trying to win MVPs. He's not trying to sit out games. That's not his MO. But still, I think that what you saw is a guy that's going to jack it up, and it's, Houston, and there's going to be some 2-for-9s where he gets yanked because he's taken 7 bad threes. And then you're going to have what you saw last night, which is whatever. I think he had 8 threes. And it's Gerald Green. He's just have ball, will shoot.
Okay, have ball, will shoot. That's a good segue to my next guy on the list, Michael Beasley.
That dude.
What the hell? What the hell, Brew? He looks good. Yeah, what? I know. What?
I know. I agree to a certain extent. I mean, there have been holes in the game log. That's been still happening, and there's been less holes than normal. They like him there in New York. Hornacek likes him, and he's not really playing well. That's the other thing. So I'm still not on the bandwagon here. Whether it's an injury risk situation, low minutes, stat set, doesn't continue to produce. I think some combination of those things are going to keep him from being say owned for the rest of the season. So pick him up while he's hot, but just have your expectations in check.
I'm hoping that somebody is so excited about it that I could pawn him off onto them. Bruski having a coughing fit. He was kind enough to turn his microphone off. That was very professional. That was very professional.
Dan, we all know this.
Yeah. All right. So here's another name that's been popping up a little bit. He's been doing a decent amount on the defensive side for about a week and a half, and then he popped off for a monster game, and that is DeLon Wright in Toronto, who seems to have sort of jumped Norman Powell for the who's going to make some noise off the Toronto bench situation. And he's doing it with the team fairly healthy right now. Do we have any reason to think that the defensive stats are fluky? Is this something that he can really keep up, basically like a 1-and-1 kind of guy?
It cut out right when you said the name. I think I know who it is. Who is it again?
DeLon Wright.
DeLon Wright. Thank you. He looks great. He has, I think, been proving himself for the last 2 to 3 weeks that he can be something of a starter, I think, for that team in the future, or some other team if he can't find a role there. The length is what you're, from a fantasy perspective, really excited about, because he can get you steals, blocks, threes, and then get a few boards here and there. But there's a lot of stat set potential there for him. I don't know that you can expect top 100 value out of him this season. I don't think you can expect top 125 value out of him, as a lock. But the player is he's ready for fantasy leagues. So I would say, if it gets to a point where he can give you a floor of top 150 value, stashing him on a roster, using him in 4-game weeks, using him when you need, somebody in a pinch, you might luck into something way better than that.
All right. So we got a couple of choices here. We've already talked about Marquise Chris, so that one's wiped off the list. I had the Suns on there in case I needed to fire you up for any reason. I guess the only thing worth mentioning on that front is that I did call that Greg Monroe would start the second half of that back-to-back. Everybody keeps saying there's no pattern to it. There's a very clear pattern, and the pattern is Greg Monroe doesn't play.
What did he get, like 40 minutes in that game?
Yeah, he went nuts. I mean, he didn't have.
So that's like 2 games for him. Who does that, by the way?
What are they doing?
You know, this heavy out of shape dude that's like this vagabond player on your team that you don't really want. You're like, oh, get in there and play 40 minutes. It's
for the first time in 2 weeks.
Classic Suns. And Isaiah Cannon is not Michael Jordan or Rajon Rondo. I just thought I'd get that out there. I don't know what to say about those guys, Dan.
You're gonna piss off some bloggers, man. You be careful over there.
You know what? I don't care, Dan. I don't care at all. There's, I mean, TJ Warren's been interesting because he doesn't miss shots anymore. I mean, he goes like 15 for 21. It's hard to complain about him not passing when he's shooting like 80% from the field. Still getting things like just 1 assist. It's amazing. You can shoot 21 times and not get more than 1 assist. The Suns, I just don't have a lot to say there. I mean, Monroe, there is a January 15 trade deadline, that's lingering for some guys. That might loosen things up there. But watching Tyson Chandler play is one of the worst things in the NBA right now.
Play is very loose.
He just stands there.
He's a defensive rebounder. That's his job, man. Got to do your job.
He's like, yeah, I'm going to let you by because I might get the rebound.
Get that rebound. All right, you brought up the January 15th thing. You're very kind to give me these segues on today's show. One player who can be traded after January 15th is Hoopball's prodigal son, Nikola Mirotic. That makes me nervous. None of the other stuff made me nervous, I should mention. Will he come back? His face got punched in. How's he going to do? What can he accomplish in 24 minutes a game? None of that stuff made me nervous, as you and I made abundantly clear over the first 2 months of the NBA season. We were riding him hard. This guy's going to be good. This makes me nervous because there's uncertainty. He could end up on a team like Houston where he could just bombs away. That's, everybody's happy because he'd be the only rebounder on the court and he can shoot better than Ryan Anderson and presumably he doesn't have back spasms every 2 weeks. Or he could end up on a team, like a veteran club where they just need somebody to come in for 12 minutes off the bench. And so that's why I thought, if you can get like a top 50 guy in return or even a top 60 guy, because there is that uncertainty, I'm okay with that. And it's not because I don't like Niko Mirotic. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's because I like safe and certain things. And there's a measure of uncertainty here. And I think you and I disagree on this, which makes for better radio. So why are you hanging on so tight?
Because the minutes are so low for what his sample is right now. He's a top 40, 50 guy in about 26 minutes per game. So if he gets traded somewhere, all those things you said are true. Absolutely true. He could go to a team with a bad system, like say it was the Kings or something. And it wouldn't matter what the playing time situation was. He would just struggle because the entire team struggles. It's pretty nice in Chicago right now. Say what you want about Hoiberg, but, guys are, chucking up threes. They're, generally speaking, getting shots, that are decent looks. So, yeah, I get it. And that uncertainty is creating what I would call a buy low window, which doesn't make much sense because, he's already exceeding expectations. It's probably not a buy low window in a lot of leagues because they're going to think that he's a top 45 guy no matter what, and you're not going to be able to really procure him for anything less. The things that I think are key, though, he's got about half the steals and blocks that he had last year. So if that regresses positively, you're looking at a bump in value. He's probably not going to keep making 50% of his shots. 40% guy, typically, maybe a 45% guy this year. I get it. I see what everybody else sees. I don't know that I buy the report. I mean, I buy that his camp is open or even pushing for a trade, but I just don't some of this stuff out of Chicago gets so leaky, and it's very kind of low rent. I actually like the writer that issued this particular report. So it's not about the writer. It's about people inside the organization maybe wanting to let Nico know he's not the boss and publicizing a prior trade demand. There's a lot of different scenarios that could be playing out with that. Just like we saw with, the reporting for the first 6 weeks of the season, where they made it seem like he couldn't play there, and, all the stuff we've made fun of, since then. There's sensitivity to the risk in your league for Nico Mirotic, and you might toss a top 75 guy because he's better than a top 75 guy. Your league might not know that. I would and try to get what I think the top 30.
So there was a mild glitch there. You recommend a top 30 something? Is that what you said?
I think if you can buy him low for top 75 value, that's amazing, because I think he's got top 36 upside. He should be playing 30 minutes per game. Now, Robin Lopez isn't an injury-prone guy. Lauri Markkanen has dealt with some injuries going anywhere. Felicio's out of the rotation. So Mirotic has some work to do to get up to 30. But I think that if he doesn't get traded and they just sort of settle in, it's going to quickly become, he's a main cog of that team. And I think he's at 29 minutes per game no matter what.
Andre, by the way, in the forum posts quite astutely, which it argues for your side. So I'm throwing this out there because it's
good work, Andre.
It's against my point of view that he may not waive his no trade clause if they're trying to send him to a place where he's not going to play. It's actually
absolutely. I don't think he's as unhappy as everybody makes it out to be. There's probably some posturing going on there. And by the way, the forums have been awesome. Those things, I get email alerts when anybody posts.
So do I.
I've gotten 500 email alerts. It is a lot of action going on in the forums.
I may need to set a time every day, like 6:30 or 7 or whatever it is when my wife gets home from work, where I just sit down and I blast through like 40 forum posts and just take an hour straight and do nothing else. Because right now I'm trying to get in there. By the way, if you want to post in the Hoop Ball forums, go to hoop-ball.com, click on the forums tab. You can see what we're talking about. I try to get in there like 5 to 10 times a day and get through the 4 forum posts that have come up. And it's a little bit distracting because it's like I'm working on something, then I get the bloop, and I got to.
Well, and if you can imagine too, like, we're a boutique site that started 2 years ago. The people that came across were the hardcore of the hardcore, and so our forums are, basically ringers. So if you have questions, you're in a great place to get good info. It's not like, I don't know if Yahoo has any forums, and I got nothing against Yahoo, but a lot of people are there. I've noticed when you're at a big site, you start to get more of the slappies that show up.
That's a good one.
Might not be as good.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's that's quite accurate. So anyway, good point, Andre. You guys are swinging me back a little bit on this one. I'll admit that, because it's true. A guy who's so anxious to have playing time and was so stressed out about, falling in line behind Bobby Portis when he came back is probably not going to go to a team that's promising him 10 minutes a game. He'll waive his no trade clause if they're sending him to a place where he's going to get to have a little fun. So that's a good point. All right, let's dig in. I got 5 things left on my list, and then we can go over to the chat room. There are a lot of questions, so I don't want to keep you guys waiting too much longer. But I also have some good things on my list. One of them is Dwight Powell. What do we make it? Like we talked about Maxi Kleber 2 weeks ago, and he's fizzled out. So what's to stop Dwight Powell from fizzling out? I should also put the disclaimer on this, Brew. I don't know if you listen to all my weekly shows. I assume you're probably too busy to get through all of those.
I don't miss a single one, Dan.
So you've heard me say I can't stand the Dallas Mavericks. I want nothing to do with this team. So I'm just lobbing this one to you because I want nothing to do with the Dallas Mavericks. But are you buying Dwight Powell after 1 or 2 decent games?
No.
Thank God.
but I had him rated pretty highly this year, and he has had stretches where it's all come together. They haven't been long stretches, but he has stat set potential, and that makes me not ignore this stuff. So I think it's more of a probably after the All-Star break thing for him. And then again, Dirk could get the farewell tour treatment, through the last third of the season, and it might not be just turn it over to Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber and get out of the way. So if you need a big, give him a look. Maybe you can, catch some lightning in a bottle. If he actually takes a step forward, then you've got the asset. But I'm not dropping anybody of real value.
Yeah, that's where we need like a fart sound effect for the podcast. I'm never going to do it, but that's sort of where we needed one.
Why wouldn't you do it, Dan?
Well, I just have to make it. I'd have to make the noise myself on YouTube live. What the hell? So, Kelly Olynyk.
The talent is through the roof, Dan.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tell a story. Let me tell a little story about that particular.
Yeah, that noise. That noise has a story, Dan.
So that noise, which. For effect, I decided to make a second time, was my late grandmother's probably the favorite thing that I did. Not like this is like grandparents love their grandkids, right? But my grandma loved nothing more than, and this was like me as a teenager, 13, 14-year-old boy. She loved it when I would pretend to drop something near her, bend over, and make that noise.
Daddy, come here.
Yeah, like, can you do the...
Did you drop the quarter and do the fart sound again?
Oh, God. I miss that lady. She was amazing. So, yeah, Nana Helen, tip of the cap to you. We miss you. Okay, so fart noises aside, Bam Adebayo seems like he's kind of on the outs, but a young man named Kelly Olynyk, a member of the Hoop Ball Six, is very much in, and I need to do I can't do it.
Did you just do like the max power, strap yourself in and feel the G's?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was going to be kind of like a hip thrust, but I'm sitting in a chair, so it wasn't full effect. I just wanted to make sure I got both hands into the camera view for it.
Yes.
Kelly Olynyk is straight up dunking, and they want him in there. And James Johnson is back, and they want him in there. And I hate to say it, but Hassan Whiteside doesn't look totally healthy, but he'll play his 20 to 30 minutes most nights. It seems like, so you say the bad news, Adebayo probably not going to see a ton of minutes most nights, but the good news is Hoop Ball Sixer Kelly O is settled in, and he is swarming right now.
I'm telling you, that's, I think, why I feel good. I was trying to figure it out. Like, a lot of our in-season calls have been pretty damn good. The only one that isn't looking good, and I even feel good about that one, is like Jamal Murray has walked through kind of the oceans parting for him to be a kind of top 80 guy, fully leveraged, with players coming back soon to probably spoil that party, eventually, I should say. But no, like Kelly O, I mean, I begged people to hang on, and now it's panning out, and I think that's going to continue. I would expect him to go through ebbs and flows. He's going to lose his confidence probably 5 to 10 more times this season. That's been the book on him. They're working on that, though. There is a change in his game that has taken place, and Spoelstra, the media, everybody's on top of it. They are basically like, dude, shoot, that's why you're here, and facilitate. And he's even rubbing off on Whiteside. Whiteside had 4 assists the other day. They're changing the offense to be more like Kelly Olynyk, a dribble handoff, pick and pop type deal. And then they're going to have to figure out what to do with Hassan Whiteside in the game. Bam is probably, at least for now, a dead asset. I really hesitate to drop him in my 14-team leagues just because the upside to get, say 3 combined steals and blocks per game, if he gets into, say, 20, 25 minutes somehow, I don't think he would get those numbers in that amount. But if he ever got injury assistance in any way, I mean, you'd really be looking at a dynamic player there. But there'll be drop decisions. We'll talk about them on the Waiver Wire show on Sunday, see if he survives on those lineups, because I think there are a lot of good assets out there. But yeah, Kelly O, I mean, you really can't say much more. I think he's going to end up hitting right where we had him in the Bruski 150. He'll finish the season as a top 80 guy.
Yeah, he looks good. The team is better when he's playing more, so all of that working in his favor as well. Let's do a little Brooklyn watch here. I have 3 things left on the list. Brooklyn, we've heard that D'Angelo Russell might actually be starting to get a little bit closer, maybe, kind of, sorta. There's a lot of the LeVert stuff is out there. Jahlil Okafor actually saw his first playing time in like a month. He did play those, like, I think it was like 10 minutes right when he first got there. A few questions for you on the Brooklyn side, Brew. Number one, I know you feel like I do, which is that Jahlil Okafor's stat set is garbage, but is there any world where he could get to like 14 team value? Second question on the Brooklyn front is, LeVert's been putting up pretty decent fantasy numbers, but the team still looks like they actually play better when Dinwiddie is running the offense. My only fear with that is that he's become a little bit more passive. He did have a giant game his last time out, but he has become more of like a pass and rebound, steals and blocks kind of point guard. Not that that's a bad thing, but you know, and then Russell is the third part of this question. What does that do to this whole mix? 3-parter on Brooklyn. What do you see happening in the next?
This is easy. So Okafor, unless your league counts points for donuts eaten.
You were just waiting to swing at that one, weren't you?
He's not gonna have no value. Come on, like that guy. Whatever. Now LeVert,
I need the sound effects again.
Yeah, give me a fart sound for the Jahlil Okafor trade. Smart trade they made. You're gonna know what's there.
All right. Well, we got the Jahlil Okafor fart. What about the D'Angelo LeVert Dinwiddie thing going on?
So you nailed it. I mean, while he's had some great individual plays and team plays as well, but the style when he has the ball, it's almost like Rondo centric in that it's either going to be his shot or his assist. Not a lot of hockey assists, though I haven't looked that up to see if there's if that's actually true. That's just a gut watching him play. But he's played really well, and so it's more just a young player that hasn't gotten to that next level. Whereas Dinwiddie is like a quarterback throwing darts out there, looking at 2 to 3 passes ahead. The interesting thing about Dinwiddie is he's shot so poorly this year; it's really cut into his value, and he's also missed a lot of clutch shots, at least prior to this big game he had, and he's too good of a player, and it's not like his shot is broken. He just, right now, I think he's not a great shooter, and he's trying to find that next level and to get the confidence to be able to make shots regularly, and especially at ends of games. He hasn't been getting a lot of calls, but I think now that the refs have seen him a few times, he's gone through the rotation now probably, at least once. That's going to help him, and the regression positively that he could be experiencing anytime now, he could already be in the middle of it, is going to push him toward top 50 value. And maybe, if everything goes better, he could actually get top 30, 40 value. He's a great 9-cap player, doesn't turn the ball over. And as far as D'Angelo Russell goes, he ain't got no chance. They're not going to pull Spencer Dinwiddie, unless they want to keep him in 26, 25 minutes like he's kind of been. They could do that, but he's still going to be the lead guard. He's still going to run the offense. He's still going to get great numbers. Russell might get an opportunity to kind of play his way out of a job, but he's not coming in there with any special status. And Dinwiddie's a better player, point blank. And so buy Dinwiddie low. People, what can you think? What do you think the market value, perception wise, is for Dinwiddie? I would say it's like top 80.
Yeah, I think you could get him. I think you could get him for less than that because of the fear on the Russell LeVert stuff right now. I feel like you could only less.
Yeah, I would get aggressive, like a big name top 100 guy, like Blake Griffin. I might even pull off.
No, come on now. You could get so much more for Blake.
No, You could, because there's people who think Blake Griffin's a 3rd-round asset. I think Blake Griffin is a 6th-round asset and an injury risk at that. But yeah, I mean, in that ballpark, like Carmelo Anthony, toss him in there. A top 80, 100 player to get Spencer Dinwiddie, I'm all about it.
Yeah, that one I'm a bit more behind the Melo one because he hasn't been that great.
I would do it for Blake Griffin in a second. I want to put my name on that one.
Do you think LeVert can continue to have that nice sort of backup point guard role after Russell comes back? Can they leave him in this spot, and can he keep putting up fantasy numbers? No,
I don't think he can. I mean, he's gonna, if they keep it the way it is right now, he's gonna have a regression. He's gonna have his struggles. Teams are gonna react to knowing that he's quarterbacking the second unit as aggressively as he has been. I mean, that's kind of new. That's about 10 games old, and teams will now have that on their scouting report. And another thing about the Okafor thing, Jared Allen is somebody that I've added in 14-team leagues. I think he's a perfect fit for Brooklyn, and he's been a great fit next to LeVert as well. So I think that that's who you're looking at. You want to look at Allen in that front court, because I think with 20 minutes per game, he would give you late round value, and he probably by the end of the year is getting 25.
Quick one on the Lakers. I don't go there very often because their fantasy stuff is a disaster, but Brook Lopez came back from injury. He played 16 minutes off the bench. He probably had his best 16-minute stretch of the whole damn season. A couple of threes, 10 points, 5 rebounds. I'll throw my hat in the ring on, please keep him coming off the bench. Just let him go nuts against some cruddy second unit, because in the first unit, he looks like a lumbering ox, and he's got the yips at the foul line. I mean, I don't know how it could get much worse for Brook Lopez, but is there any value with him coming off the bench? I feel like the answer is sort of a soft yes.
I think yes, and he didn't forget how to play basketball. This is a fit. This is a rotation issue. This is a Lonzo Ball. When he was playing, how effective is that offense running? There's a lot of different things that have thrown that team out of whack. I would love to take a chance. I don't have Lopez available in any of my leagues, but I'd love, if he hit the waiver wire, I would be all about picking him up. And I mean, what if they flip the switch? They're like, okay, Brooke, why don't you run the team for a month? Now you're looking at a top 40 to 60 guy that, really moves the needle in your league. And if it doesn't happen, you could just drop him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It really couldn't get any worse. Last question before the chat room. It is weekly Rashawn watch time. Embiid missed a game, and Holmes fouled out in 18 minutes. Things could have gotten a lot better in that one. And then Joel came back, and Rashawn disappears. Bruski, you're becoming a Holmes household name, quite literally.
Yeah, you know what? I think the great Benny Aziz told me I should become a sports agent and start repping Rashawn Holmes. No, every time I tweet about Rashawn, one of the family members, actual family of Rashawn Holmes, will favorite my tweet.
Yeah,
because they're accurate. They're good tweets, and yeah, I just don't understand this. Like, why do simple basketball things have to be so complicated at a league level? I don't understand it. He had the 6 minutes the other night and looked amazing in those 6 minutes. He just turned pick and rolls away like it was nothing. Like the would-be drivers are like, nope, not even going to think about that. And then Booker, Amir's okay. I don't like to bag on Amir because I think he's actually provided value to that team. But Booker's just out there, probably has no idea what he's got himself into, and they're just giving him minutes and not getting anything out of it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rashawn, I think I'm the last person in America with him on a roster.
I will surprise you and let you know that 66% of my money leagues, he is owned, and they're 12-teamers.
They're 12-teamers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can see the upside is just like, not just as a fantasy asset, but as a player doing everything and then some. I can't think of a better stash, from a player talent standpoint. I just don't know how bad is this Colangelo thing. It seems to be pretty bad.
We've all been Colangelo'd. How did that? You need to take add
I
another.
haven't had. I dropped him in one league that was kind of a daily, shallower league to pick up. I think it was like
Someone
Ish
playing.
Smith or somebody legit that was going to have serious value for a little bit. And I was like, okay, I got to get rid of Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah, you gotta get somebody out there who's playing game. Now, like the two leagues, the two of my three money leagues where he's owned are the Roto leagues with games cap. So presumably people are just waiting until those days when Embiid or Saric or Covington has to sit it out and they know Holmes is going to play 25 electrifying minutes. Then you drop him in there. It was sort of what I was doing with Greg Monroe before Phoenix basically just ran out of back-to-backs. No point in holding him for 2.5 weeks in between games he's going to play.
I mean, Tyson Chandler doesn't even pretend to move his feet, people.
Yeah, it's a really weird. It's just the whole thing is beyond confusing. But at least Marquise Chris is alive over there. To the chat room. That's the stuff off my list. Hopefully, we knocked out a lot of the stuff that people are going to ask about anyway. But we'll turn our attention to it. To those of you again listening after the fact here via the podcast app or whatever it might be, we do the show every Friday live on YouTube. Make sure to join us. You can ask us questions. We will get to basically all of them that are kind of bigger picture type things. If you have like a 3-for-3 trade, we're probably not going to handle that live on air. You can pop that over into the Hoopball forum and we'll take a look at it in that direction. And that's a warning to those of you listening that asked questions today already. If your question is really specific and kind of weird, we're probably going to jump over that bad boy.
Hey, I see you added a picture of your wife and kid in the background. Is that new?
What? Oh, is that is that up back in the corner over there? I think I just got pointed a different way today.
Okay.
Yeah, that was us first beach trip.
Also, an update for listeners. I know they really, really care about this. The team named Dan Besbris's unmade bed is dominating in FBKC.
That's outstanding.
And by dominating, I mean it's probably in like second or third place. But it's
by the way, Dan Besbris's unmade bed is unmade today.
You guys live like slobs, man.
Child rearing. Ain't got time to make a bed. Gotta chase that kid around. He's pooping himself. Bed is priority number 85. Jim Collins, what's up, man? He says hello. Beans greets the Hooblings. I like that one. We need to use a little bit more of that. Beans has the first question in the chat room. How does the community feel about JaMychal Green? Why isn't he more widely owned? He's been a decent rebounder and even chips in a bit from three-point land. Brew, is the answer to that because he's boring as hell?
That's the right answer right there. It's also the knee and it's also the slow start. I mean, when he got back in, I basically rubber stamped him for top 100. And then he was like top 300 for the first 3 weeks. And then, missed some time. I think people were like, if you're going to be boring and bad, then, he doesn't get any steals or blocks, but he shoots well. It's like the worst combination for a big man ever.
I have 3 teams. I have 10% of the NBA that I refuse to own fantasy players from. I mentioned Dallas already. Memphis is the second one. And your hometown, Sacramento Kings, are the third. I just want nothing to do with those 3 teams because every night it's like roll the 14-sided die to see which guy is actually going to do something. That's brutal. Brutal. Anyway, whatever. That's my own beef, and people have to deal with that. Jordan Bell versus JaMychal Green. Who do you prefer from now till the end of the year? Because we're starting to see teams kind of a
contrast.
Yeah,
that's an amazing contrast. One is boring, and one is all of the excitement. Jordan Bell coming off of a 6-minute game where I think he had a steal or something.
Yeah,
hit the waiver wire like a rock. People are like, "Nope, I'm not about that life." It felt like Golden State was basically saying, hey, you know what, Jordan Bell, you're a little too high in the hog right now. You've been hanging with Dre a little too much. He's rubbing off on you. We're just going to pull this back a little bit because he's had it pretty nice. And it's always been a stat set thing. It's always been a defensive stat thing. And this top 75 value he had for a while playing practically nothing, 17 minutes a game.
Amazing.
I would rather have Jordan Bell, and it's because I can replace JaMychal Green, who should probably be owned in a lot of 12-team leagues right now. But I can replace him, and I don't think he has any upside beyond that. So give me Jordan Bell.
Amazingly, Brew, by the way, the next question is Jawan Evans worth an add on a 16-team roster? And you actually said earlier in the show, I might add him in a 14-team league. Look at that.
Absolutely.
Would you drop Milos Teodosic if the pickup was Markelle Fultz? What about those two?
Absolutely. That's a great name to bring up. Fultz. His whole deal was to me, it's an elephant in, or was it the little man in the head, not the elephant. I don't know what that's from. That's from the drugs. Markelle.
Are you seeing elephants?
I'm not saying I'm not seeing elephants, Dan.
You're having like the scene from Dumbo where Dumbo gets drunk and hallucinates like
Berkeley, and then all of a sudden Jerry Garcia started playing music in my ear.
Yeah, bro. Pink elephants on parade, bro. Pink elephants on parade, man. What are we talking about?
Not understand the Grateful Dead. And if you're under the age of 30, go listen to some Grateful Dead and then ask yourself how weird we are.
and then watch every Bill Walton called basketball game from the early 2000s.
That man is a national treasure. I'm such
crazy.
A sucker for Bill Walton, but not when he was actually doing it for NBC. I hated him. Back in the day, I just couldn't. But now I'm like, I treat every Bill Walton broadcast like I've got to like TiVo it or something. What were we talking? Fultz.
Markelle.
They really want him to work in Philly. Brett Brown is already talking him up. I mean, they're going to have to bench Jared Bayless, so who knows? The Colangelos might not be able to contractually do that. Sorry, I paused for my disgust there. But no, he could get in there. He has good length. This is a team that could force a lot of turnovers that he can play a big role in that. Say he actually shoots free throws well, that would make a lot of difference in his value. And if he just gets out there and he scores, say, like 13 points a game and gets you 3 rebounds, 4 assists, steal a block and a 3, that's low end value for you with the potential that this guy is actually worth a first overall pick. So I was, he's been on my watch list in a lot of leagues, and I just had higher profile players that I wanted to get after. And at some point in time, somebody's got to pull the trigger. So I would do that in a second. And I think in 12-team leagues, owners got to be thinking about taking a little bit of a gamble there.
Boban had one good game. No, yeah, I didn't think so. Because Drummond was out. Drummond doesn't miss that many games. He's pretty tough. Isn't Andre probable for the next one? Questionable, probable. I mean, he doesn't sound like he's out for more than another game, maybe 2.
I mean, if something seriously happens to Andre, Boban's an auto ad.
Right. Yeah. So we saw that the last 2 weeks of last season. Rest of season outlook for guys like Larry Nance. We talked about Chris and Jordan Bell. So the only one left on this trio from our buddy Tyler, Larry Nance Jr., where's he going? Because suddenly now his like safe top 90 looks like a little bit less safe.
Yeah, he's slowed down a little bit, but I hesitate to vary too far off of the history here, because he's a player that, I mean, unless he's dealing with an injury that we don't know about, which is very possible, he's just a flow of the game guy. He gets his stats in the flow of the game. When you deal with steals and blocks, you only get 1 or 2 per game. It's very easy to get 0. And, just mathematically speaking. So I don't think I'm going to move his assessment. I would, if you want to be safe about it, call him a top 120 guy. But, it is what it is with him.
Are there any guys in that top 120 range that you think could kind of make a leap in the second half of the year? Which I guess we'd call it kind of like a buy low situation.
Well, Dan, I'm not looking at the top 120.
All right, I'll ask you the next.
If you want to ask me, Ricky Rubio's in the top 120 in 9-cat leagues. He's a serious buy low candidate. He's only that low in 9-cat because of it's a big turnover number, and his other numbers aren't where they should be. But yeah, no. Big jumps. Buddy Hield, and you're from your favorite team, Buddy Hield and Bogdan Bogdanovic, to me, are guys that could be top 75 I wouldn't want to say that both of them get much higher than that. But like Buddy, for instance, I think he could have top 50 in him. And there will be a mandate to play those guys pretty soon here. Other than that, you want more, or are you good?
That'll work.
To keep rattling them off.
Yeah, that'll work. No? Al Horford versus Gary Harris.
Give me Al Horford.
What about Al Horford versus Gary Harris and Nico Mirotic together in a trade?
Oh, then you got to take the two assets there because, yeah, that's just too much value to pass up.
Does adding Rodney Hood with Horford change your feelings on that at all? I'm doubting it will.
No, because you can just drop Hood if you had to.
Yeah. We talked about DeLon Wright, so we covered that one. Happy Fridays from a number of people in the list. And we talked about Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert. Man, and Beasley. We just knocked that out.
Right stat line right now for the year. It's phenomenal. It's
yeah, he's been good.
He's got 2.4 money counters in just 21 minutes. So he would cross the 3 money counters per game, I would think, if he got big minutes. But he's shooting 92% from the foul line, 50% from the field. That is just phenomenal.
Yeah, he doesn't take bad shots. There's no reason to. He's got 2 guys on his team that can take the bad shots for him.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you let DeRozan take the tough one. I mean, my list was great today. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because like the last 7 questions in a row, we hit on the Dan list of stuff to start the show. What about this one? Do we have any idea when Russell or Tim Hardaway Jr. is actually going to come back?
No on Russell. And Hardaway, I'd say like 2 to 3 weeks. But if you start getting close to the All-Star break, maybe they hold him back, the whole way. I don't think they will. I think he's about 14. No, let's go 16 days away.
All right. January 21st. Put it in stone.
No, seriously, it will happen if there's a game on that day.
That'd be amazing. Somebody's got to track this bad boy because the clairvoyance here is through the roof. Jordan Bell versus Marquise Chris.
Marquise Chris.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Just he's playing minutes now. Justin Holiday at post Zach LaVine. He just actually recently had one of his best lines of the year.
Another one where I'm telling you, I feel like this year it's just been low key getting maybe they're smaller decisions. I don't know, getting these things right. Like Justin Holiday with Nico back, with the Bulls sort of getting a little bit healthy. Chris Dunn playing well. He hasn't had to take as many shots. He's been great. Justin Holiday's been great. And I think that trend continues when LaVine returns because he can still focus on what he does well and not take as many inefficient shots.
Joe Ingles was dropped in a league. Should I drop? It says T. Jones, but I think that's T. Johnson.
Might be Tyus Jones.
Oh, good point. I was forgetting about Tyus. Well, then the answer's got to be.
I had that moment the other day. That's the only reason that I know.
Right. Yeah. Tyus Jones. All right. Would you drop Tyus Jones for Joe Ingles? And then let's throw Tyler Johnson in there too. Would you drop either of those guys for Smoking Joe?
I would stop what you're doing right now. Light a cigar. You win. Smoking Joe forever.
We got a "We Love the Medicated Brew" post in the chat room. That's from our buddy Collins. John Simmons, is he still a hold?
Yeah, we got to see what this injury shakes out like. But yeah, I think he's still a hold. They're so banged up there. He's just got to be owned until they say, he's out for the year. And I'm kidding. We're nowhere near that. But he's just long term, he's going to have value.
Rodney Hood and Taurean Prince for Zach LaVine in a dynasty league. Which side do you like?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
It was Taurean Prince, and who was the other one?
Rodney Hood was the other side of that one.
You see, I don't think Hood's got a lot of value potential. I just never been on that boat fantasy wise. So right. I'm looking at that as a one versus one right there.
Yeah.
LaVine is probably profiling as a top 50 guy with, some outside shot at top 25. If he really is who I thought he was prior to the injury, is like a baby Russell Westbrook. I think he could have it in him. Players have come back and been good after knee injuries. But I'd rate him as a top 50 guy. And with Prince, he has the tools, he has the coach, he has the ability, I think, to continue to improve. He's going to need to do that because there's got to be another gear to his game. He's at 3.5 money counters right now in a healthy 31 minutes per game. That's good. That tells you he can be like an Otto Porter. I don't think he's going to be Kawhi Leonard, though that you kind of, when he came into the league, thought, okay, this guy's a defensive guy. Maybe he progresses like Kawhi, he won't be as good, but maybe he takes that similar path. He's really been more Otto Porter with a lot more turnovers. And I think that I would probably prefer to have Zach LaVine, just because you've seen the high-end performance, and that, I think will probably end up winning the day.
All right, rank the following 4 guys rest of the year. Bogdanovich, Jared Allen, Jay Crowder, and DeMare Carroll are the 4 names. Did those all come through?
Ooh, yeah, they all came through. That's a tough list. I'm going to put Carroll at the bottom, surprisingly. I think the bottom has fallen out for him. Dealing with a rib injury right now, always has dealt with injuries. The defensive stats were not so now that they're not coming, it's more in line with career numbers. So that he could easily be more valuable than anybody else on this list, though. Jared Allen, I like his future upside. I'll put him right above Carroll, and my other 2 were Bogdan, and one other was
Jay Crowder.
Yeah, Crowder is like, this is me playing a hunch. Crowder looked great in that Isaiah Thomas return game. It's like a kindred spirit came and kind of lifted him up, and he was doing more Jay Crowder stuff, and he's a great pick and pop player with Isaiah. It feels to me like Isaiah will be the spark plug that cuts Jay Crowder loose in this arrangement. Now that I don't know that makes him like a top 75 guy or anything like that, or his old Boston days. There's too many players in Cleveland for that to happen, but he could, he should line up. I'm going to put him ahead of Jared Allen just on a hunch. If you're looking for upside, you could easily put Allen above Crowder in that list. And then Bogdan's right at the top. He might be the Kings' best player right now.
Is Jabari Parker worth stashing yet?
I mean, all these are league specific and team specific, but I do think there's a reason to stash him even right now. There's too much weird noise about, he's healthy now, but he is going to wait until February anyway. That could translate into a late January surprise return. And guess what? We're in early January. We're in that 3 to 4 week window prior to a possible return where you can get him on the cheap. I know in my big money leagues, everybody already has him. I don't know that that's going to pay off for them, in terms of ROI, but yeah, I think the time is now. I just have questions about how is he going to produce with so many people they're already producing. So I'm not a big break your neck to stash him guy, but I do think that there is a pretense for it.
Nerlens Noel, is he ever going to see the floor this year?
Yeah, in like mid-February, possibly after the trading deadline, or maybe he gets traded.
Is it going to be for the Lakers? Is JJ Barea going to keep being okay?
Think about this though. If you're a contender and you need rim protection, I mean, you could get Nerlens Noel for what, $1, or in trading terms like a 2nd-round pick, or
seems like it. I don't know.
Is there a market for him right now?
There's something weird. There's something very weird about that whole thing. Anyway, JJ Barea, is he going to maintain any kind of value? I guess this is really almost a half Seth Curry question. Is he going to play this year?
I think he holds as much. I think he holds his current value until he gets hurt.
It's not an if, but a when. Games played. This is a strategic question here from Benjamin. Head-to-head schedule, that kind of stuff. how early do you start planning the head-to-head playoff game played kind of thing? Like, is that something that you're focused on hard right now, or is that something you want to get the best players right now and you worry about that a little bit more
No,
later?
I think in those playoff formats, you're looking to get games played. You're looking at players that are, profiling to do well during those playoff weeks. And now's the time where owners aren't thinking about it. When we fast forward past the trade deadline, everybody instantaneously focuses on the playoffs. So, you're looking at, I believe the trade deadline's on February 8th. You got about a 30-day window here to really zero in. So what you want to do is go to the schedule grid. If you're a premium subscriber here, the schedule grid is awesome. Hack cough. It's going to show you each week, who plays what. And then what you want to do is wait till that player has a crappy game and then fire that offer over.
We are now officially, Bruski, into the lightning round. Last couple minutes of the show. So we're going to hit these questions. We're going to knock them out at a slightly quicker clip. Get you guys out of here at a nice, reasonable hour as well. I got a trade for you, Brew. D'Angelo Russell and Lonzo Ball on one side. It's current and former Lakers torchbearers. Karis LeVert and Marcin Gortat are on the other side. LeVert Gortat or Lonzo D'Angelo?
I'll take Lonzo D'Angelo there.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I mean, the Gortat thing is enough to sour me on that side.
Yeah, and Lonzo's been actually, before he got hurt, was actually sneaky, not terrible for like a week. Should I drop, this is a dynasty question, Hassan Whiteside or Dwight Howard, dynasty league?
Oh, Hassan.
You got to go the young guy, right? You go the young way?
Yeah. Dwight is on his way out.
Willie Reed, are you still as excited about Willie Reed if someone like, say, a Tristan Thompson ended up going back the other way?
Oh, in a trade? Yeah. I mean, if say Tristan Thompson ended up on the Clippers, I think Willie Reed probably gets a few extra minutes. But the thing with Willie Reed is you're really trying to get, 25 minutes out of him where he would actually be like a top 75, top 50 even player. So yeah, no, excited would be the wrong word. I'm trying to, find a place to stash him as a lottery ticket, knowing that, today that's like a 5% chance of being worthwhile. Talk to me around the trade deadline though, and that'll change.
Is Reggie Jackson finished? That's a very angry way to ask that question. It makes me feel like Sub-Zero is about to like freeze him and pull his heart out. But is his season basically cooked? Like, are they going to go back to him when he's healthy?
I had that. This is one of the reasons I bid a little bit bigger on Ish Smith in those 14-team big money leagues, because top 75 value at an 8-cat format is moving the needle. Hasn't been that great so far, but it's only been a couple games. I don't see how Reggie Jackson comes back and demands, like say a starting job or the lion's share of minutes if Ish Smith plays well. So this is really on Ish Smith. And then Reggie's going to have his own challenges of staying healthy and being productive. And they've changed the offense, maybe perhaps because of this, knowing that Reggie Jackson's not who they thought he was. Andre Drummond runs a lot of stuff for them. And so I could see this not working out for Reggie. I wouldn't put it this way. Reggie Jackson's probably not going to have fantasy value for the rest of the year.
What about Mike Conley? Is he going to have fantasy value?
I think so. He, in his workouts, he looks like he's ready to go. It looks like they're just being ultra cautious and possibly already tanking.
Seems like they ought to be. Should I drop Hassan Whiteside for Serge Ibaka? This has to be a very small league, I would presume. You should have both of those guys on basically anything bigger than like a 6-team league. Those guys are both very ownable, right? I'm not missing something here, right? Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything. That question froze Bruski in his tracks. Andre did the research, Brew. The Lakers are the opponent of the New York Knicks on January the 21st. Tim Hardaway Jr. There you go. I think that's in LA too, right? Because the Lakers already had their game at Madison Square Garden. And the final question of the lightning round is completely unrelated to fantasy sports, but it gets its share Our buddy Bean says, if the Cavs win a championship, does Derrick Rose get a ring?
He does.
Then the coffee.
He does.
Yeah, there you go. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen.
For Christ's sake.
What's that now?
Matt Barnes got a ring. Which I guess, that's like kind of giving him a nod to the We Believe team, which, for all the stuff that you could say about Matt Barnes, and there's plenty, that We Believe team was my favorite basketball team ever.
That was amazing. What a time. That was, I think you and I have talked about this, probably, I don't know if it was on air or not, but that was when it was a year and change after I graduated from college. We had moved across the bay into San Francisco, and we moved into an apartment that had no living room because rent in San Francisco is so ridiculous and obscene. So every time the Warriors played, we all just gathered in one dude's bedroom, blasted Scandals the Warrior at full volume for like 2.5 straight hours. Patty Smith rocking us into that crazy Mavs upset. And then Utah, man, just too tough. That's all I got for today's program, Brew. You got any thoughts for the weekend? Feel better.
Yeah, no, I got to get rid of this this thing here. No, I'm actually I think I'm gonna do some hiking, maybe some shopping, and get ready. We got a big week ahead of us. I'm looking at lots of different design stuff. An app, actually, another app is in the discussions. I'm looking at a mock-up of Hoopball 1.2 or 2.0. We're just trying to decide which direction to go with it, but it all looks very slick. I'm very happy with that. But trying to get healthy would be the first order of business.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. Go follow at Hoopball Fantasy. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I did see that a gentleman named Jackson subscribed right in the middle of the show, so thank you, Jackson. The rest of you should do likewise. If you have a moment here, give us a little thumbs up. Right under the little video, click that thumbs up. Let everybody know you like the.
Premium memberships down to $16.99. By the way, so if
Bruski, that's the first time you tried to sell anything in like a month and a half on this show. What are you doing over there? You're slacking.
I'm a terrible businessman, Dan.
And it's a pleasure to work for you, Brew.
I know. Doesn't that make you feel good about your long-term prospects with this company?
Yeah, my ROS is my rest of season value is dipping a little bit. He's Aaron Bruski. I'm Dan Besbris. Follow us both of us on Twitter. Follow us each, I think is proper grammar on that. He's at Aaron Bruski. I'm at Dan Besbris. At Hoopball Fantasy. That's the new one. At Hoopball Kings, by the way. New show out this morning.
Hey, Hoopball Lakers has been firing off. I've been paying attention to you guys.
At Hoopball Lakers, we're having some fun over there. We had Harrison.
And Hoopball Wolves, I got to say, Hoopball Wolves is the sleeper of this entire group.
That's
Kevin
right.
Brandt, the work he does it's A+ work. I'm excited about our group of journalists that we're moving through the ranks here. They are, doing the push-ups and, the wax on and wax off stuff that, young journalists have to do.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about what's going on over there. And yeah, so go do all that stuff, people.
Isn't there a sneaky hoopball guy in training? I can't think of the right word for it. You got somebody coming down the hopper. Isn't there another team coverage that might be starting in the not too distant future?
There are, and I'm, basically what I'm trying to do this all the right way, and that's the trying to keep it going nice and slow and make sure that everybody gets their reps the right way, because it's a changing landscape out there, and it just has to be done right. And so the guys that we have on are on that plan. They're on that program. They're looking at it long term. And so I'm excited about the platform, having 30 teams worth of coverage, having 30 teams worth of pods, having everything we do on the fantasy side and the gaming side, and just God knows what else. But it's been a fun ride, and I'm very happy for the journalists that we have right now.
Shout out to Adrian Frank and Dan D hosting our other shows here on.
Where's my shirts, Adrian? Where's my shirts?
Get Aaron his shirts. He wants.
Hey, we got shirts, people.
But also, oh yeah, wait, that's something I want to mention too. I got two things I want to say here before we sign off. Number one is, if you want to do one of those podcasts that Bruski was talking about, let us know. We are certainly in the market to add some voices here.
Serious podcasters only, though. Serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to tune in and hear a demo reel of you talking about doing cocaine. You know who you are. Come on, man.
To the people that want to be in this business, do not send your demo tape of your cocaine jokes, habits,
So
etc. It's entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what we're looking for here at Hoopball. We're a family station.
Yeah. Let's hold off on the rampant drug jokes until you've known us for like a year. That's why I get to make all my Berkeley jokes here on Fantasy NBA Today Live. And then the other one is, yeah, we got Hoopball shirts, man. We previewed this a couple weeks ago, so let us know if you're interested. Not in the chat room because that disappears as soon as I end the show for whatever reason. They really should log those things.
Well, what are we doing? Are we selling them for $10? Is that what we came up with?
I think they're 10. We'll keep everybody posted on that, and let us know. Let us know if you want some hoop balls.
We might give a couple away here and there.
Yeah, that's happening. Once again, he's Aaron. I'm Dan. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Reverse chronological lightning round Monday. We'll be back with you. That'll be on Monday. Not surprisingly, Bruski's got waiver show on Sunday for premium subs, and then Anna and I will get you through the weekly lineups Monday afternoon as well. And that's what's coming up here at the Hoob. We'll talk to you then.